Eric Muathe, Muathe.com, with a quick update on the cryptocurrencies based on current chart formations. If you take a look at Bitcoin from a daily view, we start seeing the possibility of what could end up being negative divergence. So just something to consider. Here we are seeing that on the daily, there is a push to all-time highs. But take a look at the technicals. The technicals are making a lower high. Also, this here right now happens to be an area where we are looking at the RSI failing to move above the 69.1 threshold, excuse me. So the RSI is failing to move above 69.1. Here we are also looking at negative divergence possibility. So the more this remains the look, the more the visual look remains the same. We are starting to see potential for Bitcoin to struggle holding current levels, where the high for the highs are above, I think, just close to, let me see here, to 8,250. So 8,250 thereabouts happens to be the high. I believe that's the open. The high is 8,380. All right, so that's the high. Now, what I'm saying here is you start seeing early signs of stalling. Okay, take a look also at this uniformity aspect. Now, if you don't understand this method, there should be a link in the description of the video that is going to explain this in more detail. Again, the method that I'm going to discuss in the next minute or so is called uniformity. It's an original method from yours truly. So we see that there was a break here on the daily off the highs there. We get a reactional move lower, and then this becomes resistance or potential for resistance in the current market. Anytime we hit this line with uniform action, as we are doing right now, this is potential for reversal. Now, how do we know that? Now, well, I know that because I've tested this method over years now, and I know it works. But if you want to see how it works, let's go to the hourly. Now, this is Bitcoin daily. Let's go to Bitcoin hourly, and we're going to use the same uniformity method. And what we're going to do is draw a line connecting the prior highs. You see there was an hourly break here. That hourly break is what I call a warning break, because the RSI will come back to test those levels. So what I mean by that is you figure out where the RSI broke down. So I'm going to draw it one more time. That's the break. The price comes off the high. Take a look at that drop hour to hour. That's a warning sign. And then you come back and try and break the same level. So you draw a line from here where the break took place. Hope that makes sense. A horizontal line. This is the line that I call the uniformity line. Anytime you hit this line with uniform action, you tend to have a good reason from a visual standpoint why you are going to stall. So uniform action rejection or uniformity give us that high. Now, more than likely, this is a significant high short term. It might be an important high for now, or maybe even a major high based on how the market is going to respond in the coming hours, coming days, coming weeks. Don't forget, on the hourly, just like we see on the daily, we had also formed negative divergence where we made an improvement to new highs, but the technicals did not make a new high. So that negative divergence is also the reason why we see this pullback hour to hour. In other words, what I'm trying to say in simple terms is there could be a sign here that Bitcoin, if it holds on to the same view of this look, where it is struggling to hold above our uniformity resistance line on the daily, the more this line becomes a problem, the more we can anticipate that Bitcoin looks like it is poised for a pullback. Now, this is not the only currency in the crypto space. Take a look at Ethereum. All right, and we're taking a look at Ethereum daily versus the dollar. All right. So if you take a look at Ethereum going back to July, so let me show you the time frame here on a daily chart. So we're talking about from about April of this year. So bear with me. From about April of this year to the current chart, of course today being November 22nd, I want to show you what Ethereum daily looks like. You can connect the top side of the hour of the daily RSI. A simple line connecting the tops, and right now you can see this top connects to that top, and now Ethereum is struggling, or at least right now it has not been able to move above this line there. So this is what we can conclude without knowing what the future brings. As long as this continues being the case, in other words, the more this is rejected on a daily chart for Ethereum versus the dollar, chances are it is telegraphing that the next potential move in the space of, at least for this currency, is for movement lower. The more this is confirmed as resistance, the more we can anticipate that somewhere around here there's going to have to be resistance and movement lower. If the market, if the crypto space is to move higher, if Ethereum is to move higher, it needs to take out this very simple, well-defined line. All right. Something else to consider also while you're watching this on a daily chart, there is the tug of war. If it fails to move above 69.1 on the daily, that's not a good sign. If it can hold above 69.1 on the daily, then that is at least a sign of strength. Now let me show you how we can also use the uniformity method. There was a break here off the highs, and that was off the highs of late to mid-June, off the highs there, before we get the pullback right here. So we can take that break and draw our uniformity line. Anytime we have uniform action rejection on this line, we know we get a short-term high. Well, let's test that. Uniform action above the line, so that resistance there gives us the top there, and we get another movement lower. So we can see in the current market, if this is confirmed as resistance, then we can anticipate that there is a movement to the downside. So now that's Ethereum to the dollar. Let's take a look at another chart, and now we are looking at Litecoin. So in other words, we are looking at the three major market cap cryptocurrency instruments: Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin. Now take a look at this one single line for Litecoin, and you can see recently we formed a double top on the RSI. Just something to consider. It seems like there's a theme that is developing. Potential for resistance is emerging for some of these cryptocurrencies. So just something to consider. This double top might turn out to be a problem. Also, if we take a look at the monthly chart for Litecoin, let's move in here. And I talked about this a couple of days ago, maybe a week or so ago. There's a breakout level here for Litecoin. So if it is to do well, it needs to move above this prior monthly closing high. The level there is 72.46. So it needs to break out if there's going to be an explosive move to the upside. At the same time, the more it fails to hold above that level, in other words, a failed breakout might suggest that the next trend is down. So the more it trades below this price, the more it suggests that the breakout is failing. If it is to do well, then the first order of business is to trade above this level. Hope that makes sense. Oh, and by the way, also for Ethereum, we can see here that it needs to break out if there's going to be any further upside. And of course, the price that I gave you guys a couple days ago, I believe last week, or maybe, yeah, I think it was last week, is 387.30. If it can break out, that's a bullish sign. But the more it fails to break out, the more it is suggesting that the next major trend is down. So let's take a look at Bitcoin. And one thing to remember is, as long as Bitcoin continues to hold above 69.1 on the monthly, this is a monthly chart, the more it stays above 69.1 on the monthly, you have to be very careful, because pullbacks are going to be shallow and not as long-lived. In other words, the more the RSI remains above 69.1, you have to be careful, because this thing could actually explode even further. The more you understand this 69.1 threshold characteristics of an instrument, the more you have to respect the potential for upside. So as long as the monthly is above 69.1, be aware, this could still explode. In fact, if you want to understand from a technical standpoint why we've gone from sideways to this sudden explosive run, all this explosive run took place while the RSI was above 69.1, ever since that time period there, which is late 2016. And so for 2017, it has been above 69.1, and you can see the explosive hyperbolic move. What I'm trying to say is that this hyperbolic move can continue as long as the RSI is above 69.1. So in conclusion, in the short term, let's be aware that we are looking at Bitcoin on the daily with potential for resistance based on uniformity resistance. Right now, the more this daily chart continues to show that this is where it is being rejected, signs are, in the short term, Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies might have to pull back. Eric Muathe, Muathe.com. As always, good luck, peace, and blessings. Hey, P-E-A-C-S. And so it is. Mwah. Yeah.